welcome back to my corner of the internet. I'm Shannon, and today I've got a book talk video to share with you guys. And today we are going to be talking about Christmas at Little Beech Street Bakery by Jenna Colgan. I picked this book up a few weeks ago, mainly because it had Christmas in the title and a Christmas tree on the cover. And I wanted to get some Christmas book talks in, so I didn't really know too much about this when I grabbed it. So as I started, it became pretty clear to me that this was not the first book that takes place at the Little Beech Street Bakery. This is actually the third in a trilogy. But that really didn't make a difference to my enjoyment of it. It stands alone perfectly well. So if by the time we're done talking about this you like the sound of the story, don't worry about the fact that it's part of a series. They get you caught up real quick on the characters, and it goes from there really smoothly. So Little Beech Street Bakery is a tiny bakery on the coast of Cornwall. I think it's sort of like on a little island just off of Cornwall in England. And, you know, it's what you'd expect from a bakery in a small town. It's run by this lovely lady named Polly. She lives there with her American boyfriend named Huckle. And she has a pet puffin. Like, what more could you ask for? So she runs this bakery. Everyone in town is always, you know, coming to her for their baked good needs, and it's a nice life that she has made for herself. Now, when I started reading this, I thought, is it a little too corny for me? Maybe. The first few chapters, I wasn't sure how I was feeling about it. But once I got into it, I loved it. I loved all the characters, I loved the story, and I loved the Little Beech Street Bakery and the puffin, whose name is Neil, by the way. So it starts off, it's almost Christmas time. Polly gets a call from her best friend, whose name is Krenza, I think. I wasn't entirely sure how to pronounce it, as I'd never come across that name before, but I think it's Krenza. And she finds out that Krenza is pregnant. Now, Krenza is married to this very rich American who's actually friends with her American boyfriend, and his name is Reuben. He's wildly wealthy. I don't know if we're ever told how or like what he does for a living. If we were told, I don't remember it. So she's pregnant, and we quickly find out that this is a bit of a sticky situation and not just pregnant, like not newly pregnant. We're talking like a month left to go. I never understand how you don't know you're pregnant. Like at 7 months pregnant, you randomly, you know, or 8 months pregnant, you randomly find out that you're pregnant. But I guess it happens because you hear of it every so often. So anyway, she finds out that she's pregnant. She confides in Polly that previously 8 months earlier, her and Reuben had had a falling out, and she had slept with somebody else on a night out, and she wasn't sure if this baby was her husband's or if this baby was this random stranger's. So that kind of adds a bit of ickiness to the whole situation. And Polly, you know, at first she's very upset, very disappointed in her friend, but as time goes by, she kind of learns to forgive her, and together they just sort of keep their fingers crossed that this baby is Reuben's, because even though they had had a falling out, they got back together, and she loves him very much. And the thing that's kind of hanging over the entire thing is that once this baby is born, because of how different the man that she slept with looks from her husband, it would be pretty obvious, most likely, if it was his or not, right as soon as this baby's born. So that's happening. That's all going on one corner of things. Then back on the home front, Polly and her boyfriend are kind of getting close to the point in time where if they're going to get married, it's probably going to happen soon. And eventually Huckle just sort of jumps right into it and asks her to marry him. And while she's very touched, and if she ever wanted to marry anyone, it would be him, she's just got a bit of cold feet, and because of her home life growing up, she's a little scared to get married and start her own family. And that whole thing later comes back into play when Polly gets a phone call from a woman that she doesn't know. And this woman tells her that she knows Polly's father, because Polly grew up with just her mom. The dad was never, ever, ever in the picture. Polly had never met him. So she gets this phone call from this woman who says she's a friend of Polly's father and that he's in the hospital very ill. And would she mind coming to visit him? Because as he's in his hospital bed, you know, he's dying, he keeps asking for her. And this creates a lot of turmoil for Polly because, you know, she doesn't know why he was never part of her life. And she's, you know, you feel a certain way about that. And she doesn't know if she wants to go and see him or not. You hear Trixie running. So at one point she goes to the hospital. She meets up with the woman who had called her, and she finds out that this woman is her father's wife. And she's kind of like, oh great, like he got married after he was done with my mom. And she's kind of like, oh, he didn't tell you he had a daughter that he abandoned? And then this woman says, well, Tracy, this woman says, well, I've been married to him for 35 years. Polly does the math. She herself is only 32. So she realizes what had happened, that her father had had an affair with her mom, which resulted in the baby. He went back to his wife, and his wife had sort of put down some firm rules, like, nope, you don't see this woman, you don't have anything to do with this baby, because I don't want you ruining the family that we have now. And feeling he had no other choice, he decided to go along with that. So now here we are, he's in the hospital dying. Polly's she's furious at him and about the whole situation. So she decides, you know what, I don't want to see him. So that kind of sets it all up for what's going to happen with Krenza, what's she going to do with her dad, and I'm going to leave it at that for those of you who don't want spoilers. So if you don't, definitely check this book out. It's a fun Christmas read. It's everything you'd hope for from a Christmas book. But also with lots of drama going on. So it's not boring by any means. But if you'd like to know how the story concludes, just keep on watching. So what happens with everything is Christmas Eve comes around, and Reuben, the husband of Krenza, is having a huge Christmas party at his house. So he asks Polly if he can hire her to do some work, and she's kind of tight for cash, and so she says okay. So between all of this, somehow she tells, or for some reason she tells Huckle about what's going on with Krenza and the baby and how it might not be Reuben's, and this just throws Huckle into Trixie, let me see if I can show her to you. Trixie, what are you doing? You don't know, yeah. So this sends Huckle into a whole lot of feelings, and he doesn't know what to do with it, and so he kind of takes it out on Polly. He storms off, and that's all we see of him for a little while. Because with the Christmas happening, he doesn't feel that he should be at the party because he can't trust himself not to tell Reuben, and Polly has said, like, you cannot tell him, it's not our place. So he takes off to go do some work and just to not be around this situation. So Christmas Eve goes by, Christmas Day comes, and, or no, was it Christmas Eve? So Christmas Eve is happening, and then Krenza goes into labor. She goes to the hospital, has the baby, Polly's there with her, Huckle's still nowhere to be found. The baby is born, and he comes out and he has black hair. Now, her husband has red hair, so at first she's kind of a little nervous. So a bit of time goes by, and then as Polly's getting ready to leave the hospital to go find Huckle, she runs into the wife of her father, who, when she sees her at the hospital, is kind of like, oh, you've come back. This is wonderful. I'm so glad you did. He'll be so happy to see you. And Polly's like, no. I did not come back here for him. I'm here to see a friend. And then Carmel kind of just lays it out. That's the wife of the father, Carmel, her name is. She kind of lays it out, and she's like, please, he's dying. Can you please see him? And Polly has this moment where she realizes that the situation is kind of like Krenza's situation. And then she kind of has this moment of realization where she was able to forgive her friend and kind of have compassion and empathy for that situation, but she's finding it so hard to have it for her own father. So she takes a deep breath, and then kind of against her better judgment of what she wants to do, she says, fine, okay. And she goes in, and he's very ill, he's very frail, and she grants him that final dying wish of forgiveness. And he asks her, do you forgive me? And she says, I do. And when she says those words, a weight kind of falls away from her, a weight she didn't even know she was carrying. And she leaves, and she feels better about the whole situation. And then her and Huckle meet up, and they both apologize. He says he's so sorry. He doesn't know why. He was mad about a lot of things, and then that was just sort of the crux. And he knows that, it wasn't, he had no right to be mad at her for something her friend did. And they make amends. They reconnect, and then they get a phone call from the hospital, and the people on the line are near hysterical, saying there's something wrong with the baby, with Krentz's baby. So they rush back to the hospital, and Polly rushes in, and Krentz is sitting there, and she kind of looks, Ruben's freaking out, his family's freaking out, and also trying to get Ruben to calm down. But Polly looks great, and she looks happy, and she even winks at, and not Polly, Krenza looks great, she looks happy, she even winks at Polly at one point, and Polly's so confused, and she's like, what's wrong with the baby? And Ruben says he's got a birthmark, a huge strawberry birthmark on his, on half of his body. He's like, it's the same birthmark I had, and that my father had, and he's like, why wasn't this picked up on ultrasound? I don't want this birthmark for my son. So Krentz, of course, is in the bed feeling very happy about it, because it's just confirmed that the child is in fact Ruben's. So then we kind of fast forward, and it's New Year's Eve of the same year. Ruben calls Polly up very early in the morning, and he's like, hey, I have some work for you to do for me. He's like, since you didn't get to finish the Christmas Day work because the baby got born, maybe you could come out and do it for a New Year's Eve party. And Polly's like, no, it's not my fault the baby came early. I just want to be in bed with Huckle, enjoying our time together. And he's like, please, you owe me, which is a crazy thing to say. I would have hung up, I think. But anyway, she is, she's like, fine. And she looks out, and she sees that he sent a helicopter for her, because remember, he's wildly wealthy. So they get there, and then Krenza kind of surprises her, and tells her that this actually isn't a New Year's Eve party that she's going to be working, but rather it's a wedding, if she wants it, for her and Huckle. Because Krenza knew that, times were tight for them, and she wanted to thank her friend for all that she had done for her. So she's invited everyone that Polly knows to this wedding, and she says, if you don't want the wedding, we can just have a New Year's Eve party. She's like, but if you want it, it's all here, and it's all for you. What do you want to do? And Polly kind of decides, having put her feelings about her father to rest, she feels a little more comfortable and ready to start her own life. She's not so scared. And they get married, and it's wonderful, and it's lovely, and it's not too corny. It really could have gotten a bit too corny, but it didn't. It was a fun read. So yes, Christmas at the Beach Street Bakery. I would totally recommend if you can find it. Give it a read. Yeah, it was just a fun book. The Jenny Colgan, she's a fun writer. Definitely would recommend. So next Friday, even though we're going to be into Vlogmas, I'm still going to be doing book talk videos and a few other sit-down videos scattered throughout here and there, but we're still going to call them Vlogmas videos. Now before I go, I just want to give a shout out. As always, you know, it's Friday. This is what we do here. And the channel that I want to shout out is this woman that is so stunningly beautiful. It's almost impossible to wrap your mind around. Her name is Nini Dulce, and her channel, you have to go and check it out. She does these makeup looks that are so stunning. She also does some unboxing videos. She's been a supporter of my channel for almost the entire time I've been on YouTube, which is going to be 2 years very soon. Anyway, definitely check her out. If you love makeup, if you love makeup tutorials, go. You won't regret it. Let her know that I sent you. And thank you so much for watching, you guys. I will see you tomorrow with a vlog.